Hello everyone, how you doing? You're very welcome to this week's Hurling What's the Score with myself, Aidan Raftery, and of course, as always, we have former Limerick senior hurler Andrew O'Shaughnessy and myself, and we'll be discussing all things hurling. So I suppose, like I said last week, it's really getting to the business end of the club senior hurling championship around the country. Obviously, some county finals have already been decided. I suppose Wexford has been decided, and but there's still plenty to be decided around the country. And I suppose it's very looking very interested looking very interesting in Tipperary there. Hurler Sarsfield is beating Lockmore Castleiney in the semi final, and now they face a very interesting game against Killadangan, who are a good side. So yeah, it's all going in Tipperary, and it's been a very interesting championship there, hasn't it?
Yeah, as you said, it's all getting going now. So the Sunny Southeast, Wexford and Waterford, their county champions are finished and crowned a while, but in other counties now, it's just getting semi-final, final stage. Interesting in Tipperary at the weekend. So Turles Stars had a good win over Lockmore Castleiney, 122 to 212. Yeah, it's just like Turles Stars are always the favourites every year, and now the new favourites amongst Turles Stars are Kildangan, and they had a good win over Tumivara. So I was kind of, for some reason, as I said, I met Tumivara family on holidays, and I had my inkling I wanted to go with them. They're coming back. Tommy Dunn was the manager with them, and they were going quite well. But Kildangan had a big win over them. They had a 9 point win over them, 230 to 221. So it's why 221 is great scoring this time of year. If you're putting up 230 scores, it's fairly phenomenal this time of year. So that's going to be a good final. Turles Stars, the kingpins in Tipperary for since back to John Dial's day, and there's no question about that. But Kildangan, the last 5, 6, 7 years have been the up and coming, the more prominent club at the moment. So it's going to be interesting. If I was to pick, you'd go with tradition for Turtle Stars, but recent tradition is what counts. You see that with Limerick Hurling. So Cork are the traditional powerhouses, but recent tradition is Limerick Hurling. They've won a bit. So that's the same with Kildangan. So I'd be going for Kildangan for Tipperary.
That's it. And of course, Killadangan, I suppose, have they have a good side, and a few inter-county hurlers. They're a good club, and they've had a good championship. Obviously, getting to the final. But there's some great players. But I suppose if you look across the country at club level and county level, there's been a lot of high scoring matches across during the season and up to date now, both in the inter-county and at the club senior hurling championship as well. More so than I suppose previous years. So, I suppose what could you attribute that to? I suppose is it just the style of hurling and the how hurling has evolved.
Yeah, definitely. So they're high scoring games, and you can attribute it to a load of things, but invariably every hurling team is playing a kind of two-man full forward line, and the extra forward is coming back out as a +1 for into defence. So it's harder to get goals because defence are crowded. So if you can't get goals, you have to shoot from distance, and people are just becoming more accurate when they see the need to shoot from distance. They're doing a lot of it in training. They're practicing it more. So that leads to, in my view, the increase in scoring for points. People are be more efficient from long distance because they have to be, because the space inside the full forward line at all.
That's it, because I suppose really with the if you have two-man full forward line, there's one in each corner, so that means like anyone in the half forward line, if they're coming with the ball, they've plenty of space in front of them, or like they've a guy either side of them that they can hand pass it to, or whoever's in a better position. So it's I think nowadays it can be a very hard thing to do, but I think it's about creating space and using the ball intelligently, and maybe that's what's happening. People are the players are a lot cuter with the ball. Kind of have to be, I suppose. But it's kind of, to an extent, it's got a bit more physical, but it's definitely a faster paced game. But I think people, players as well, they've adapted so well. Like we've seen with the Limerick hurlers, they can score from anywhere, and I think that's you can nearly score from your half back line nowadays. I think hurling has kind of gone that well as well.
Yeah, and you see it particularly when you mention Limerick. You see with Darren Burns, he's contributing 2 or 3 points from play, maybe a game or throughout the championship. So it is a massive advantage if you have a lad can shoot from long range. So it just takes away the pressure from looking and sourcing goals. So while there's a two-man full forward line, the space isn't really there unless they're clever with the way they play and the way they position themselves. Because if you have a two-man full forward line, that means every defence that you're on has a extra defender, and that defender is going to be the best hurling team. It's going to be centre back. like Declan Hannon, and he's going to sit back. So effectively, the best hurler, your playmaker, your quarterback on your team is going to be spare, and you can't afford that. So while there is space there, the space has to be hit accurately every time, because if it's not accurate, it's going to be mopped up by the +1, the centre back, and that's going to cause you untold damage then to try to counteract that. So the space is there, but using the space is the question, and that comes down to, as you said, the intelligence of the players on your team, how they work the ball through the line. So no point working the ball through the lines and then hitting a long ball, a 50-50 ball. So if the ball's going into your forwards, it has to be a 70-30 ball or 80-20 advantage to make use of that space.
And of course, it's gone more like really statistics and tactical awareness now. That it's gone really that tactical, and based on even picking the team, it's based on statistics from the players. I mean, they're given statistics at training and things like that. That nearly comes into play when they're being when they're being chosen as well. And it just goes to show you that they're nearly players are nearly programmed nowadays. But the hurling game has changed. But it's interesting in some ways. But there's a huge element of kind of the old way of playing gone as well. But it's still there in sort of in elements as well, isn't it?
Yeah, for certain. Like, so everything's based on stats now. So like they don't lie. So every intercounty team and club teams to a certain extent, they're doing it now. They have a stats team. So I know with Limerick and Kilkenny last year, you see them up in Crow Park. So their stats team of 3 or 4 people go up into the stands and they just analyze the whole game on a computer, and then analyze it and break that, and they feed that back to the management. And that clubs are doing that to a certain extent as well. Like, so you look at a player going, geez, he's going very well, he's hurling well. Why to take him off? And only take him off, he's playing very well. But while a player might be playing very well, he might have expended all his energy and he's given as much as he can for that period of time, and then he's replaced by fresher legs to do the exact same thing. So that's where stats are coming into it, and that's like like the game has changed, and it won't go back to the way it was, because it's more professional, more organised, they're fitter, they're faster, they're stronger, but equally they're just as intelligent. So they know they're on for a certain period of time, be it 45 minutes, 50 minutes, 60 minutes, and they have to give their absolute all. They cannot be holding anything back, so they have to get involved in every action of the game. And it's replicating itself down the club to a lesser extent, but it's there all right.
And I suppose, like, if you were to take into consideration all these kind of changes, and you were to say, right, what hurlers are the best exponents of these changes that have adapted well to these changes, we say from across the country at inter-county level or club level, are there any particular players that you could spot and say, yeah, look, he's very good at this and he's very good at that, or even she, I suppose, in the case of Camogie?
I mean, well, from a Limerick perspective, you say Graham Mackay was the first exponent of it. He'd go on and he'd be given he's absolute all for 40, 50 minutes. Then he's taken off and he's saying, geez, he's going well, he's going very well. But then they bring on someone else to replace him, and they do equally well. Peter Casey was a man to replace him, but now Peter Casey is obviously a starter. But then you're looking at the likes of Davy Reedy coming on. Every game he came on at 50 minutes, 55 minutes and had a contribution. But now he's starting again, and you're back to Cathal O'Neill, the new lad coming on, and Adam English. So there's always someone to come on. And they'll be doing that for a few years, but then they'll make their way onto the team and someone else has to replace them. So they're my examples from a Limerick perspective, and equally every team at a more so a county club mightn't be able to afford it. But when your subs are coming on, they're not coming on to make a change, they're coming on to make a contribution. And that's what club managers will be looking for.
That's it, because I suppose really we say a previous generation, like we say when you were playing, or like I remember like seeing the DJ Carey's program as well, and like a lot of people who are experts and are passionate about it, that they kind of see things like, DJ was a high scorer, we all know what a hurling genius he was, but like everyone was saying, right, even against the best backs, we say Brian Whelan or Brian Lohan or Frank Lohan or whatever that was marking him. He was always a good scorer, but sometimes there would have been a couple of games where he was kind of held to no score, and people said, "Oh, DJ isn't the best," or "This hurler isn't the best today," or that. But you're actually judged on what you score and don't score, but they don't see. We say on the days that. We say not specifically DJ, but other hurlers as well. If a hurler doesn't score, they don't see the other things as well that happens, like creating space and kind of being in the right place to support play. Helping to support a player with the ball, off the shoulder, things like that. and setting up scores. People don't see that. You're only judging on if you score, you're brilliant. If you don't, you're kind of, oh well, you're having a bad game. But that's not necessarily the case in hurling. Like there's a lot of hidden things in it that some people mightn't realise.
Yeah, well, that is what was always the case, and it probably will stay the case. You always looked at, watch the team, see the team in the paper, then you look at the team and the scores, who scored what he scored from frees or what he scored from play. That's always going to be the case, but it's kind of dampened down. It's not as much of an expectation anymore now. It's more what did the team score, and that's built comes back down to stats. So it comes back down to how many effective tackles you had as a player, how you contributed to scores, as opposed to what you scored. It doesn't matter. And you see, case in point is Keane Lynch. Like he orchestrates everything for Limerick. He gets the ball, he creates scores, and there's a lot of people talking about, you see what Keane Lynch did, see how he created that score. That is now part of the game, and it's good to see because it's not just all about the score. It's about how you contribute to the team. So two prime exponents of that would be Keane Lynch for Limerick in attack and Declan Hannon in defence. So it's not what Declan Hannon scores, it's how he just orchestrates everything. He sets everything up, he puts the scores in motion, if that makes sense. And he gets the ball, he lays off the man in a better position. Keane Lynch gets the ball, he takes a score when he needs to, but when he sees a pass that's on and it's the right thing to do, he'll do it for a team. And that's the way the kind of game is going. It's going away from individual scores. While they'll always get the headlines, it's down to the team, what the team did.
But I mean, like, yeah, that's the thing with DJ. Was even though he was got the majority of the scores because he's the free taker, but he also scored from play. But it was also, but he himself would say it's not just about him. He prefers it's about the team because it's a team. It takes a team to win a match, not just one person. As he said, look, one person might stand out, but that one person is no good without the people around him.
Yeah, he said that when he's playing. I wouldn't say he'd be saying it too much these days now. He'd be keeping a low profile. So yeah, but again, it's this the basis is it's a team game. It's always a team game no matter what it is. And it's gone from being a 15-man team game now to being a 26, 27, 36 a panel game. So it's gone from team game to sub game to 20-man game to a whole panel and management, and it's just after expanding exponentially. Like, so you're gone from your 15-man team to your panel and your group, and that's you hear people talking about it's always about their group. And same with the Irish rugby team, they're on about their group, because everyone has to be involved, because everyone has to make a contribution. Because one day when you need a contribution from the fella that hasn't seen much game time and he's come in and be up to the pitch of the standard team are at, he won't feel involved if he's not mentioned in the group. And that's why you always hear Andy Farrell, you hear Joe Smith, you hear John Kiley, you hear everyone on about the group, and it's about a group. And once you have a happy group, you can achieve marvelous things.
That's it, and I suppose really in that Tipperary in the both semi-finals there in Tipperary, obviously the obviously the McGraths would stand out. Thurles starts Ronan Maher, who captained them. And I suppose for Paddy Maher as well, now that he has stepped away from the Tipperary, his role with Tipperary, it gives him more time and a better chance to kind of focus on Thurles Sarsfields, which is good for the club as well, because if you're doing both, it kind of one distracts from the other to a certain extent. But even though the county the All Ireland is over the last two or 3 months, it's still it's great that he can just focus on that. And I think that probably kind of showed in the in the championship so far with Thurles Sarsfields. But like Thurles are, like Morecastle, you have some serious players, as I said, the McGraths. Then you look at Tumavara and Killadangan as well. So just kind of take us through your thoughts on that, and who kind of stood out in the Tipperary Championship with all those in mind.
Yeah, well, of course, with Thurles Sars, obviously, you have Ronan Maher. He's the linchpin for that team. He sets up everything. He starts it, he finishes. He's their go-to guy. Like that's always the case. But then if you go through the panel, like Aidan McCormack works with me. He's fantastic. Every time he gets the ball, he very rarely misses. But in the first half of that match, I think he had 3 or 4 wide that he should be normally getting. But again, the signs of a hallmark of good players, you can put the ball wide, but you have to come back and respond. And he did. So like, he ended up that game with 1-6. Like, he got 4 frees, but he scored from centre forward. He got 1-2 for them, and that's a massive contribution from your centre forward. Like, and then you'd stake them in the corner, 6 points from play. Like, it's when the fellas, like, they played a 2-man full forward line, but they if you saw the balls they're playing down the line, like, stake them, got 6 points from play, and he was on one of the McGraths, like, so who's your county player. So that, if you're getting that from your club player against a county player, like, it's very hard to counteract that. And unfortunately, like, they weren't able to respond consistently, and that was the winning and losing of that game in particular. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And of course, as we know, they're a lot more. Castellani are a good side, but it was just, these things can happen. In semi-finals, they're kind of like finals. They're very special. It's a very different beast. And I suppose to look at the other semi-final then before we go on to the Limerick Championship.
Yeah, so they're like Kildangan ended up with 230 as I said, to 221. Again, like you just said there, like it doesn't matter. Semi-final doesn't matter. It's just the performance doesn't matter. It's the result, because you can have the best performance in the world in a semi-final, and if you lose by a point, oh, you played a great game. That's no consolation. You need to be winning those. And as I said at the outset, putting up 230 in October, that's phenomenal scoring. They'll be going very well. Like so, like you saw in defence, like Declan McGrath for Kildangan, he was excellent. He was half back. He was excellent. And the players of that quality that are just consistently performing, it'll be a very hard team to stop them. So I think that's going to be a humdinger of a final. Kildangan and Turles Stars, like you've a real contrast of styles. You've the old style, historic history of Turles Stars up against the new upstarts, Turles Stars we call them, of Kildangan coming up and winning a few counties, but they'll be really, that's going to be a superb final. Whether they go on now, whoever wins that goes on in Munster, I'm not too sure, because that could take a lot out of them. But again, yeah, it's going to be a fascinating final, to be honest.
And of course, going on to your own county there, Limerick. Of course, you have Patrickswell and the Piercy. All the very talented clubs. It's all to go for in Limerick as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so start of the year, when you're going through all the teams, so you would mention 4 teams that will be thereabouts, and maybe one or two might pop into the quarterfinal stage. So the 4 teams you mentioned at the start of the year were Patrickswell, Doon, Kilmallock, and the Piercy. The Piercy Kilmallock made it into the semi-finals directly. Then you had Dwell were in a quarterfinal last week against Ballybrown, who's actually an interesting point about it. Patrickswell and Ballybrown, they're the same parish, but they're two separate clubs. But if they formed, they'd be like, they're both excellent clubs individually, but if they'd be a super club altogether. But that was a good final. If the score was 417 to 117, to finished up, but with 5-6 minutes ago, it was only 2 points in it, so Patrickswell got a late burst. They're always a confident, very good team, traditional team. So it's no surprise that came through that. And then the other side, then you had Mungret, St. Paul's would have played Doon. It was always going to be a case Doon are going to beat them. There's no question about that. Doon have the tradition, they have the mindset, they have the drive and determination, the certain amount of grit. They were always going to win that game. It was never in question. So they're playing the Piercy semi-finals. So it's Doon, the Piercy, and Kilmallock Patrick as well. So again, 2 tasty semi-finals. It's hard to see who's going to win those. Tradition would say the Piercy are going to beat Doon, and then you go probably Kilmallock to beat Dwell, even though Dwell have won the most counties, but Kilmallock have a great record against them. But it's going to be hard to call. So I go my own personal opinion. I go for Kilmallock because they're my club, but I wouldn't be surprised if Dwell won that, and then the Piercy for the other match.
I suppose if you went to the bookies now, I'd say would you get some very interesting prices for the different teams. I wonder what sort of odds you'd get for 4 teams.
Not that I know anything about the bookies, but if you did go to bookies, the Piercy would be the clear favourites. Kilmallock would be the second favourites, with Dwell third, and then Doon bring up the rear. Just for the basis, the Kilmallock met Dwell already and they beat him already. So that's the way I'd say it's going. The Piercy Kilmallock.
And of course, moving on then to Cork.
Right, so Cork were down to the final stage. So a great two great semi-finals actually. So Saracens won through, beating Imachilly 123-25. Imachilly were up in that match for a majority of it. They had a few wides, and then they got caught with a late sucker punch. So as always, if you're trying to win a match, same at rugby, so you want to be in rugby 7 points more ahead, and in hurling you want to be more than 3 points ahead. They were 3 points ahead coming into the last into stoppage time. I think the 5th minute stoppage time, and then Sar's got a late goal to draw it, and they pushed on then extra time, so they won by point in extra time. Imachilly will be scratching their head how they actually lost that. There's a game they were totally in control of, but again, they didn't put it to bed. So Sars are back into the final again. So they've been pushing for the last few years. So they're finally back in their final, and they'll be fully confident going in that final.
And of course, moving to Clare, like on last week's show, we covered we specifically covered the Clonlara match against Ennisera Og. That Ennisera Og obviously is Shane O'Donnell's club. But yeah, it's very interesting in Clare with the teams that's left as well.
Yeah, so there's no hurling there this week, following on from last week. So again, big shock that Aero gone out. But when you look at it, it was Clonera knocked them out, so that's not a shock either. So it's one of those games people might fancy their Aero based on the fact they're beating the county final last year and they're expected to get back there and go one better this year. But again, like when you get to quarterfinal stage, it's knockout hurling. It doesn't matter about form and what's expected. It's what you do in the day. And Clonera did enough that day, so they'll be confident going into the semi final. And again, you're still going back to Tony Kelly and Ballyea. They're the clear favourites again, so we'll wait and see.
And I suppose the interesting thing wasn't Ballyea were relegated, weren't they? In that, or did they survive? Remember that I think they were in a relegation thing, weren't they?
No, I think that was Ballyhale and
Oh,
Kilkenny were in relegation.
Ballyhale. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
the
they definitely they
two
survived.
Ballys.
Definitely did. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, and similar enough, they both have a standout inter-county hurler, Tony Kelly and TJ. Like so, TJ saving a 21-yard free at the death to save him against Dixford to knock him out. So they were 2 points down, and he saved it on the line. So
That's it.
interesting.
It's the fine margins. And just before we move on to Leinster, just to let people know that in our own county here in Roscommon, Four Roads won their 35th county title. Now they go into obviously the Connacht Intermediate Championship. Probably Turin again. The Turin, as we know, got to the All Ireland final last year, and kind of they put up to a certain Limerick side as well. We won't go there, but
Yeah,
yeah, it was so hurling is well when you look at Four Roads, look my experience with them. They're a great club. They were a bit like Clanagale in the football. They were winning county title after county title, a bit like the Dubs in the football. And
mm,
then there was a league and Orn and a few other Parry Pierces and things like that. But I think with Four Roads, they were kind of that sort of a club. They always had serious talent coming through from underage, from under 4 to under 12, right through to senior. So, and of course, being regular competitors in various county finals at underage level as well. And I think that's probably where they came from. And then as a byproduct of that, a lot of lads playing county as well at various underage levels as well. So yeah, I suppose it's not surprising. It was 26 points to 213 or something. Yeah, it was the score there. But there's bigger fish to fry, I suppose, in Connacht. But that's what happened in Roscommon last week. And now moving on to the Leinster Championship, as always we start off in Galway.
yeah. So there was no hurling go this weekend. So again, you're still looking at the favourite St Thomas's. So they're going to be they're flying. They're into a semi final this stage. So they're the clear favourites. It'll be. I'm still kind of hoping Clanbridge will be thereabouts, just for a friend of mine training them. But it's St Thomas's to lose. To be honest, they have a fantastic group of players, and they've their eyes on the bigger picture of an All Ireland a day up in Croke Park in the All Ireland final day. But again, similar to Kilkenny, you can't get to the All Ireland final day if you don't get out of your own county, and that's what St Thomas will be focused on. And they seem well focused this year and clear favourites again.
And I suppose if you were to look back at the Galway Championship, what was your overall impression so far of it? It's always a very tough championship, isn't it?
Yeah, you're probably looking at Kilkenny and Galway for very two tough championships. So you might a team that could be knocked down the first championship, first round, or the first chance in the Galway Championship could invariably play an All Ireland final the following year. It's just a matter of it's the hardest thing to do in Galway is to get out of that championship. It's really tough and cutthroat to a certain extent, and it's like if you win a Galway championship, you definitely earn it because it's physical, it's draining, but it's highly entertaining.
And of course, that brings us on next to obviously Wexford are through, but I suppose next up then is Offaly. We're saying I suppose you have Kilcormac, Cloughey, the usual suspects. Sarah Kieran were traditional teams as well. There's some always very interesting teams there as well, isn't there?
Yeah, so the Offaly's down to the final stage now. So Kilcormac Cloughey, they'd be playing Shinrone, a repeat of last year's final. Again, you wouldn't back against Kilcormac Cloughey, but from a Shinrone perspective, that's exactly where you want to go in. No one expecting you to win. So when you hear the result of this final, if you'll be here, like, it's going to be Kilcormac. Everyone expects Kilcormac. So that in itself takes it's a pressure on Kilcormac, but it's an absolute blessing blessing in disguise for Shinrone. There's absolutely no pressure on them. They go in fully expected to lose. So all they got to do is perform to the best ability, believing they can win, and like that'll be a good final. While it's everyone expects the result, no one is expecting Shinrone. So again, there's no pressure on Shinrone. So they'll go in and they'll give that one mighty effort.
And of course, that brings us on to, I suppose, another favourites for the All Ireland title, and that's Kilkenny. I suppose it's very hard to look beyond Ballyhale as always.
Yeah, well, they got a right shock there at the weekend. So with a man sent off last puck of the game, there was 2 points in it, and Dixborough had a 21-yard free. I don't know if you saw it, but the last ball went in 1-on-1, full forward caught the ball, and the full back just pulled him to the ground. It was a goal. There was no question it was going to be a goal, but the fact that he fouled him just outside 21-yard line, it was a 21-yard free as opposed to a penalty, and the free was saved. Who don't you hit it to the last buck of the game? You don't hit it to TJ Reid. So he saved on the line, he cleared off the line, and the game was over. But again, they're the clear favourites. But it's, as I keep saying, the best place to beat Ballyhale is in the club championship in Kilkenny. So they're through to to the semi-final stage now, but they get two tested matches now in the next two matches. But again, like it's theirs to lose. I think.
Of course, so in that case, they really use their get out of jail card there, and even though they're a talented team, sometimes it can be good, even though they're very talented, it can be good maybe for them to have that bit of a shock to give them that, I suppose, a dose of reality. I don't mean it in a bad way, but just kind of in general, because a lot of people will be saying, oh, they're invincible and things like that. But, when you see incidents like that, like what you were just saying there, it just shows that, yeah, they are a talented group of players and they're very hard to beat. But, they were very nearly, had the scales of fortune went a different way, it could have been a different result.
Yeah, that's for sure. Like, and I know, like, everyone expects Ballyhale to win, but that's everyone outside of Kilkenny. Again, the Kilkenny Championship is like the Galway Championship. Any team can get knocked out early in the first stage, or else they could go on and win the whole thing out. So O'Loughlin's had a good win at the weekend at 18 points, a 2 point victory over Mullinavett, so 18 points to 210. So they have been traditional. They're a traditional powerhouse in Kilkenny as well. So if they got out of Kilkenny, you'll be talking about them to win the All Ireland Championship. But the fact that they had to get past Ballyhale, you're not talking about them. But they could. Yeah, they've been close to Ballyhale the last couple of years, so they're in the semi-finals. Bennett's Bridge are still in there. They had a good win over Glenmore at the weekend, 3-14, 17 points. Again, they're a good, strong club team, but you don't talk about them because they're not coming out of Kilkenny, because they can't get out of Kilkenny because of Ballyhale. But if they do, they'll go a long way too. And James Stevens, clearly, they're still inside. They had a good win over Greg Ballycallan. So they had a 118 to 15-point win over Greg Ballycallan. So they're three strong teams still involved in it as well. So it'll be interesting. It's not a done deal at this stage. Invariably, Ballyhale might come out, they might go on and win Leinster and All Ireland, but they have to get out of Kilkenny first, and there's three strong teams still waiting for them.
That's it. And moving on then to another great championship as well, and I think it's looking like the top teams in Dublin are there, and that's in the Dublin Championship. Obviously, Coola are one of the favourites, I suppose. Ballyboden and St Enda's will be there as well. Daniel Glynn from Roscommon, he's involved in that panel as well, and of course the other usual suspects, Kilmacud Crokes as well. It's really hotting up there. It's this is the stage where the supporters really love the hurling, hurling where it matters, the cut and thrust of knockout hurling. That's what you want to see. And I suppose the idea of the group stages is for teams to get game time under their belt before this. But this is where you want to be at this stage of the year, playing knockout, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, you have to rewind the week, because this is where Coola wanted to be. They're gone now. They lost last weekend, so it's a shock to people outside the county Dublin, but people watching the club championship in Dublin, it's not much of a shock. Unfortunately, from Coola's perspective, they were beaten. They're gone. They had aspirations on bigger and better things, but again, like I said, in Galway and Kilkenny, you can't have aspirations on Leinster and All Ireland Championship if you don't get out your own county. And Coola, they know that. Unfortunately for them, they know that at this stage now. So it's into semi-final stages in Dublin. Interesting. interesting teams left, so should be good semi-finals. But again, we'll see. We'll give them another week or so and see how those semi-finals shape up to before we can talk about champions in Dublin. Because again, it's a tight championship, but you can't you can't win Leinster unless you win your own county. So we'll wait and see.
That's it, and it's going to be very interesting all around. So it's going to be another great discussion now next week, and I suppose over the next kind of couple of weeks now we'll be discussing county finals, obviously, and that'll include the Tipperary county final. We discussed that today, but we'll be reflecting on that over the next couple of weeks. So listen, thanks very much. Thanks very much for taking the time to do Hurling Wants to Score with us, Andrew, and we look forward to talking to you again next week.
Thank you, Aidan.
No problem. Thanks very much. And that was former Limerick senior hurler Andrew O'Shaughnessy and myself talking about all things hurling.